power can be innocent.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2016 DC superhero film Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. The film is directed by Zack Snyder and it stars Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Jesse Eisenberg, Diane Lane, Lawrence Fishburne, Jeremy Irons, Holly Hunter and Gal Gadot. Right, okay, this is the follow-up to Man of Steel. This time round, after the events of Man of Steel, Bruce Wayne witnesses the devastation caused as a result of Superman battling General Zod and General Zod's cronies. He believes that there is a real threat to mankind, and Superman is just simply too powerful to be left to roam free across the world. And if he ever turned against mankind, who would ever stop him? So he takes it upon himself to try and figure out a way to stop Superman. The other side of that is Clark Kent, played by Henry Cavill, while as a reporter, comes across the work of the Dark Knight Batman, the brutal and violent work that he does to round up criminals. Superman thinks he's a loose cannon and that he should be stopped. This leads to a giant confrontation that is manipulated by Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg, that leads to a final confrontation between Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Apocalypse. Right. What are my thoughts on Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice? Well, this is, if you like, a new series of reviews that I am doing. And I'm calling it like Reviews Revisited, because I've already reviewed this film on this channel. This was the very first film review I ever put up on Screenstars. It's still on the channel if you wanted to find it. And I put the review up because I felt quite strongly about the film, in the sense of it was getting battered by critics and stuff when this first came out, this film. And I went to the cinema and watched it, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually really quite excellent. It was flawed, of course, but I really enjoyed it overall. Now, it's worth mentioning that this version of Batman vs Superman is the, if you like, the ultimate edition of it. That is, I think everyone would agree, the definitive version of this film. It's got much more content added into it. It gives much more context to certain aspects of the film. And it is just a better film because of it. But that doesn't make the original cinema release a bad film. It's just the ultimate edition is a better film, in my opinion. Now, as I said, this was the first film I reviewed because I felt strongly about putting my thoughts up somewhere. I never thought the channel would go anywhere or anything like that. It was just, I'd always wanted to review films. I'd always wanted a platform to review films, and this just happened to be the first one that I put up. I've recently rewatched this, the Ultimate Edition, and again, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I really, really enjoyed it, and I just wanted to give you my thoughts again on this film. After, several years of doing reviews on the channel, have my thoughts changed in any way about this film? And I thought it would be interesting to revisit this film and revisit the review just to see if my thoughts are any different. And to be honest, I don't think there are huge differences in my thought patterns here. I think Ben Affleck is excellent as Batman. I love the way Batman looks in this film. It's arguably my favourite version of Batman that's been put to screen in regards to the way he looks. I think Ben Affleck plays the part brilliantly. I think he plays Bruce Wayne arguably better than Batman. And the scenes that Batman's given to shine here are just jaw-droppingly good. When he takes down that group of villains near the end of the film, when he's saving Clark's mum, is just, show me a better sequence in any Batman film that we've ever seen. It is brutal, it's violent, it's uncompromising, and it's just exciting as hell to watch. It's so well put together, and this version of Batman just does not take any shit. He's older, he's a bit grizzled, he's suffered loss, because we see clips of, obviously the Robin that he lost and all this kind of stuff. So he is just past giving a shit anymore, and he even brands criminals now, which you could argue is going a bit far. But also you've got the moral compass that is Alfred, played superbly by Jeremy Irons. Again, I didn't think you could top Michael Caine as Alfred. Jeremy Irons comes very, very close here. He is brilliant, I think, as Alfred. A perfect choice. Because Alfred is not just a dithering butler. Alfred is a genius, the real Alfred that we learn in the comics and things. He's a genius. He's a tech genius. And he is, an inventor of many of the stuff and gadgets that Batman actually uses. And you get to see that here in this. And some of his one-liners are just absolutely fantastic. A really, really fantastic Jeremy Irons here as Alfred. Henry Cavill, who had such a fantastic debut in Man of Steel as Superman, almost takes a backseat a little bit here. I mean, the whole plot in the desert thing, I don't think the film necessarily needed or helped this whole plot of, should Superman, bow to the laws of mankind, and he's being kind of hailed as a god by some, and this whole moral dilemma, if you like, that the film preys on quite a lot. It kind of drags the film down a bit and makes the film a little bit too dark. Because Superman is like, he's all about hope. You know what I mean? And you don't necessarily see that. I think he's a tad too serious in this film, Superman and Henry Cavill. You need. I would have liked to have seen like a lighter version of him and the character in the film. Obviously, we get glimpses of the Justice League here, Aquaman and Flash and things like that got a lot of flack at the time. Could they've introduced the characters a little bit better? Probably, but it's not horrific or anything like that. Gal Gadot's introduction here as Wonder Woman works very well. She's not in it a great deal, but she's in it just enough to have an impressive impact on the film. And the whole side plot, if you like, of kryptonite being discovered and then Bruce Wayne learning of it and figuring out how to weaponize it against Superman is it's all good. I like all that. But by far, if you like, for me, the two biggest failings of this film, and I believe I mentioned this in my original review, is Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I mean, I think they got the casting nigh on perfect for the rest of the film here, but the casting of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor is chronic casting. It doesn't work. It's a terrible performance by him. He tries to be all quirky and menacing at the same time, and it just doesn't work. He's actually quite annoying and grating as the character. Arguably, I dislike the performance worse than when I originally saw the film. And the whole Apocalypse storyline, I don't have a problem with necessarily Apocalypse being in one of these films, and I do believe I said this at the time as well, I don't think they earned the right to put Apocalypse in this film. It should have. Superman's death, sorry guys, spoilers if you haven't seen this film, Superman's death should have been a much bigger part of the film. You don't feel the sense of loss anywhere near like what you would have done if we'd have had 2 or 3 films with Henry Cavill in the role, sort of thing, and really building this rapport and trust with mankind, and mankind seeing him as the real protector of their planet, and so on and so forth. So the whole apocalypse fight at the end, as spectacular as it is, and it really is, and exciting as it is, seeing Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman going up against this beast. I think it all kind of, I don't know, felt like it was too early to put apocalypse in these type of films. And then, I think the film delivered, I think, for much of what I wanted from it. I thought the effects were fantastic. I thought, as I've said again, the way Batman's portrayed on screen here is absolutely fantastic. I don't have a problem with the whole Martha thing. What kind of brings Bruce Wayne round to accepting that Clark is, or he sees himself as human because they've got the same mother's name. I actually think that was quite a clever thing to do and add into the film. And it was quite a human thing, to kind of click him out of this, Superman is bad sort of thing. It would make him think. I didn't mind that at all, really. But I also understand why there's probably some people that would have had a problem with that issue, with the whole issue of the Martha thing. But I think it's a strong entry. And I think most people are realising now that Zack Snyder's vision for the DCU, I think people thought he was going down too dark a route, and after obviously what we saw with his version of Justice League, which is two-parter, is his masterpiece. It's just a stunning film, that. So when you put Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and then the Justice League films together, my God, what a trilogy of films they are. And I think the DC and Warner Brothers should have trusted in Zack Snyder to finish his vision, and finish the DCU, and I think he'd earned the right to do that. Now, that's not to say that I don't think James Gunn is going to be a good thing. In regards to the DC universe, it looks like he's really going for the comic roots and making it much brighter, if you like. And there's a far different perspective on it, and there's no origin story for Superman, that kind of stuff. We shall soon find out. I think James Gunn is obviously very talented. He did wonders with Guardians of the Galaxy and things like that. So let's give him the opportunity. But I do think it's sad that we won't see Henry Cavill as Superman again. I thought he was, quite simply, the best Superman next to Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve, for me, will never be surpassed. But Henry Cavill was a very close second, in my opinion. I thought he was a fantastic Superman. So, yeah, if there's any reviews, guys, that you've seen me do over the years that you'd like me to revisit, perhaps, let me know in the comments, and I will go through my reviews that I've done in the past and see if there's any that I want to revisit, and give you kind of my thoughts on it a few years later. So thanks for joining me for this review, guys. I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.